Okay, I've done a ton of looking at the art of fighting game characters and designs, but considering how influenced I am by the genre, I figured I'd look back at the look and feel of specific fighting games, and I couldn't think of a better game to start off with than the game that started my love for fighting games and art in general in the first place. Mortal Kombat 1. One, not the reboots, the original. Never mind, let's just get started. Alright, the original Mortal Kombat felt different than any other game of its time. I absolutely love Street Fighter 2, and I will probably be looking at all of those stages at some point in the future, but Mortal Kombat was just different. It had Eastern mythology, the supernatural elements of a Big Trouble in Little China, the violence of a Ricky O, and, I mean, let's be honest here, there's a lot of Enter the Dragon in Mortal Kombat. But it made for an amazing spectacle of a fighting game. I personally loved how the crypt in Mortal Kombat 11 back in 2019 was made up of each and every stage in this game. A genius touch if you ask me, and it's also nice to have an idea where each stage is in proximity to one another in the game. But how well do those arenas convey the overall feel that the game was going for? Well, right now I'm about to rank each and every stage and find out. Let's start off with the courtyard. Now this is definitely one of the most iconic stages in Mortal Kombat history. It's pretty much the very first stage you see in the game, which is why I chose to start off with this. It definitely has the look of a martial arts tournament. The monks watching in the back is cool, and the colors of the eastern canopy at Shang Tsung's seat looks pretty cool as well. One of the most underrated pieces of this stage to me that makes it unique is the contrast of the Shaolin monks with the guards in the front. Like, you have what looks like traditional Eastern monks clapping as you have your battles, but then you have these mean guards sitting in the front and they look like they mean business. Of course, one of these guards would be very important in the sequel of this game, but that's a conversation for another day. And obviously it goes without saying to any fan of Mortal Kombat that the music fits this stage perfectly as well, capturing the sort of martial arts feel and the Eastern feel that this stage was going for. So far, I feel like this was a very nice way to introduce players to this new world, whatever Mortal Kombat was supposed to be with this stage.
Raiden wins.
And next up, the Palace Gates. This personally is one of my absolute favorite stages in the game. A nice follow-up to the courtyard if you ask me. It really captures the look and feel of Shang Tsung's island. Sidebar, but I love when you actually play in the crypt at MK11, this is pretty much one of the first things that you see when going through the game. The different statues along with the structure in the back look really cool. And again, we have these guards. I really love how this stage looks, and I love the accompanying song with it too. It's also one of my favorite songs in MK1. But there are a few problems. Admittedly, if I was ranking this stage, it's a rung below the courtyard, and it's basically because it has a similar feel, and that's partially because it uses the same assets as the courtyard does. And being as that it's the second stage in the game coming directly after the courtyard hurts it just a tad. If we were to isolate these stages and compare them by themselves, it'd be one thing, and I still kind of believe this one would come up just a tad bit short. The courtyard just has so many other things going on for it. That's what I think hurts the Palace Gates just a tad bit. Still an awesome stage with an awesome song, but it had the burden of following up on a stage that it already looks extremely similar to. So yeah, a rung below the courtyard. Next we have the Warrior Shrine. Another place that I feel like was perfectly captured in MK11. This is a great stage, and this definitely feels different from the previous two. Mainly for being a night location, which up to this point we hadn't seen in the game. The use of the roster as statues in the back, A, is an excellent use of limited assets that you need to use for space in the game, and B, it looks exactly like it's intending to be, a shrine. It uses similar fencing and flags from the other stages, but overall it feels unique enough to not be that big of a deal. Like the Palace Gates used almost all of the same assets as the courtyard, but here there's more than enough unique assets to this stage to make this seem different. This is also the first hint at a much darker or eerier tone to the game simply by being at night. Of course, it gets a lot worse from here, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Definitely a step up from the palace gates, but I'm not sure if it's better than the courtyard still. But overall, the Warrior Shrine is an awesome stage. By the way, quick reminder to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And now getting on to the next stage. Alright, now this next one is not going to be fair, but this stage I'm going to split into two parts. And I think you know where I'm going with this. Ladies and gentlemen, the pit. Now I understand the love that everyone has for this stage in the sequel to Mortal Kombat. However, this was still very insane for the first game. We're definitely rolling with the whole darker feel in this one. The previous stages still looked like it was some sort of martial arts competition that should be taking place here, but this is different. This is kinda unsettling, to be quite honest. As someone who is afraid of heights, this tiny platform this high in the air just screams danger. Hell, you're almost in the clouds. And the thing that trips me out so much is it's such an iconic stage, in hindsight of course, and it stands out so much considering there's nothing in it. This stage has nothing going on and nothing to it outside of the clouds and the moon. It's just a walkway. That's it, and it's absolutely incredible. But wait, there's more. In the unfortunate event that a player gets knocked off of the platform, they fall all the way down to the second part of this stage. Earlier I brought up Ricky O, and this is where the violence and the blood comes into play. The bottom of the pit. Now the look and feel of Mortal Kombat has taken a turn. The bloody, beaten, and impaled bodies and the sheer amount of blood, which up to this point none of the other stages had, this was crazy. I also think people don't understand. If you played Mortal Kombat in an arcade or on consoles for the first time, there's a good chance you might not have known that there ever was a bottom to this pit until you saw someone get knocked down it. And then the visual and the shock of seeing all of this is crazy. Also, in the event that you landed on the crazy set of circumstances that led to a reptile battle, you actually got to fight in this place. The songs also help to capture how creepy this stage is, whether it's the actual normal theme that this had. This is easily number one out of all the stages so far, and I don't think I'm too out of line for saying that. Wins. Alright, my take on the next stage may be a bit controversial, but here we go. Shang Tsung's throne room, another favorite of mine. To me, this is one of the most underrated stages in Mortal Kombat history, at least again in my mind. Just how unique the stage looks. The panel with the MK dragons on it that you can see through, the fact that it's yet another daytime stage, and it has such an Eastern feel but not like the courtyard or the palace gates. This has a more regal look to it being that it's Shang Tsung's palace. The gold dragons, even the actual throne that Shang Tsung's sitting on looks amazing, as he just claps like a seal as you fight. Fighting on a red carpet, by the way, just seems crazy to me, but for Shang Tsung's vanity, I guess it fits. Also, the idea of him having a very personal stage to fight at just for his amusement is a very egotistical thing to have. I once painted this stage myself in the very dark days of this YouTube channel, but I enjoyed every minute of it because of how unique that this stage is. I can't stress enough how different this looked in comparison to all of the previous before. And considering how dark the other stages is, this was such a nice change of pace back to what we were expecting Mortal Kombat to be, and then sort of lulling us into a false sense of security of what was to come next. This stage to me feels more unique than both the courtyard and the palace gates, which it looks so similar to, and for that reason I'm actually ranking it above the courtyard. However, to me it's still below the pit, as the pit is easily going to be one of the best stages in this game. But overall, Shang Tsung's throne room has an amazing look and feel to it. And finally, the last stage in this game. I don't know why I just said the same thing twice, but in any event, Goro's lair. Easily the second darkest stage in this game, and I mean that literally and figuratively. The dark cave with the glowing peeking eyes in the background, the skulls and skeletons littered around it. Even the color palette is different compared to the rest of the game, to be quite honest with you. For the final two bosses, this seems like a very uncomfortable setting to be fighting in, and being honest, 3 if you include the last endurance round. Hey, anybody want to become the next dead body to be spread out on the floor in this cave? Like, all of this is a little alarming for the final battle of a martial arts tournament, especially when a 4-armed beast shows up out of nowhere to fight you. Definitely fits the whole supernatural fighting motif. And the song doesn't help it, as I believe Goro's theme song perfectly captures just how creepy all of this is. It's actually a shame that this original soundtrack when it was made didn't have access to like better sound quality, but this particular theme song has been remade enough times to where it more than makes up for that. Personally, I still don't think that this is the absolute best stage in the game, but I do feel like it's still above the palace gates and the warrior shrine. But I don't know if this stage really beats the courtyard. I'll let you be the judge. I just know that to me this isn't better than the palace gates, and it's not better than the pit either. Again, I understand that the pit was rated as a 2-part stage, but I mean, what are you gonna do? So, ranking these, at the top is the pit, followed by Shang Tsung's throne room. The courtyard or Goro's lair may be a tie, or you rank them however you feel like they should be ranked. Then you have the warrior shrine, and the palace gates is last. And it really hurts me to say that. What do you personally think are the best and worst stages in Mortal Kombat 1? Oh god, Mortal Kombat 1992. Which stages do you like? Which stages do you not like? And how much do you agree or disagree with this list? In any event, again, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And you all have a good one. And I'm out.